it's Laurie at Sew Right Sewing Machines, and today we're going to talk about the AccuQuilt cutting system. Some of you may already know what it is, but a lot of people do not. So I'm going to go over some of its special features and why it's a fantastic tool in your quilting room. So it comes in many shapes and sizes. There's 3 sizes of cutters. We're going to go to the mid-size baby today. It's called the AccuQuilt Go. This machine fits about, I'd say, 85% of the dies that AccuQuilt manufactures, and they always are having more coming up the pike. They've got specials every month, they've got bundles and all sorts of things, and feel free to come and talk to us if you have any questions about the machine. I'll be happy to show you, but today I'm going to show you here. A die for the machine comes in many shapes and sizes. This is a full-blown strip board. We've got other designs that are square in shape, and you'll find the design in the photograph in the packaging, and it tells you what that shape might be or the design might be. This one is a circle. This is like a little schoolhouse. So they've designed a lot of dies meeting the needs and interests of quilters. Before I go into the cutting system itself, I want to show you what a board looks like. So it's comprised of foam, and the backboard here is solid. And what you'll find are these little serrated pieces here. This is where the blade of the cutting board lives. So basically what happens is, as this board is compressed as it runs through the machine, the blades pop up. You would position your fabric on top, and I'm just going to do a simulation right now. You would position the fabric on top, and counterintuitively you're going to lay the cutting mat on top of that board. And then we will feed it through the machine. So every board within its system, you'll be using that technique in creating a shape or strip or design. So let me take you through the process of doing that. And I'm going to be using one of their most popular boards, which is a 2.5-inch strip die. So before I put it through the machine, you're going to notice a few elements. One is that it's got these permanently embedded lines that help you match up and mark where you might want to lay your fabric. So in this one, it has actually 3 different designs or styles built in. We've got our strips here. We can create diamond shapes, a 30, 45, or 60 degree diamond. And then we can also create little 2.5-inch squares using that 90-degree demarcation here on the board. You can also create anything that creates a 2.5-inch strip on this die board, be it sashing, be it binding. Say that you've got a lot of leftover fabric, but you don't want to waste it. You could create jelly roll strips, make a great jelly roll pattern, jelly roll rug. There's endless opportunities what you can do with this. And it helps you not waste your fabric because you can always subcut it down into smaller units. A great thing about the board is that you can layer up to 6 layers of fabric. So that saves endless time in cutting strips. And then you can also create some designs in layering different colored strips on top. I once made a Bargello quilt, and I put half-yard units on here, and cutting 144 strips, which normally would take me hours, only took me about half an hour because of this cutting system. Another great thing is the accuracy of the pieces or units that you'll cut. Oftentimes when we're cutting with a rotary cutter and a ruler, we may go off skew or our hand might move. So that way we're not getting a pure 2.5-inch strip. Laying it properly on the board will allow you that 2.5 strip without that weird bubble in the middle. Sometimes you get a bowing technique, all right? So accuracy is really helpful in using this cutting system. So let me take you through some of the process of it, okay, with this strip cutter. So we don't want to waste fabric. So if we're going to do various colors, I would recommend measuring across the board to where those blade lines lie. So if we do this, we'll get an idea. I'd like to leave about 1/4 or 1/2 inch on each side. So I think I might like to cut my strip 8 inches wide. That way I have clearance on each side of the blade line. So I will do that. before you do that, it's always good to starch or press your fabric so it lays nice and straight as best it can. If your edges are bad, don't worry, they'll be trimmed off. So I'm going to do a rough cut of 8 inches, 2, 4, 6, 8. Okay, rough cut. Any of these little stringy units, you can use it in another type of project. So nothing really goes to waste. Okay, so I have my unit here. It's folded in half, so this counts as 2 layers of fabric. This machine is very compact, which is nice because we can carry it like this, and we open it up like this. Now, if you're right or left-handed, you can turn this over. So if you're right-handed, you go like this. You could turn this to face the other way and get that orientation. You could do it left-handed. So it's user-friendly to your right or left-handedness. I've got this demarcation line that's built on the board. So I'm going to lay my folded end on top, making sure that I have clearance from those blades. Okay. And the board can accommodate up to like a 45-inch width fabric. So it's just the right size. Okay, now on top, I am going to lay my cutting mat. So I am going to put the mat in like this. The handle on the machine can be turned in either direction, either forward or backward, based on which is your dominant hand, either right or left. For demonstration purposes, I kind of am left-handed, but I kind of am right-handed. So today I'm going to use my right hand. So I'm going to turn this crank clockwise. So it's kind of like a pasta maker in a way. One other good thing before I begin the rolling is that it's pretty user-friendly. There's nothing that's going to hurt me here. These are just rollers. So if you've got an animal that puts its paw in there, if you've got a child that's super curious and is trying to stick there, nothing is going to happen to them. But I do recommend that you watch your environment before you begin cranking. You don't want anybody to get hurt. Okay, so I'm going to position the die in the mouth of the machine. I'm going to give it a gentle little push to get it moving forward, and then you're going to see that as I progress, it's going to cut. I can let go at that point. The great thing too is that if this hand gets tired, you can reposition the machine and have your other hand crank too. Okay, we're done. The foam kind of creates static electricity, so I'm going to rub it, and then I'm going to angle it off like this. All right, that way I don't pick up my strips by accident. I can hear the static electricity. And here we are. We have these nice finished units. Okay, all right, now we're going to cut them in another direction, or I can use these strips as they are for my binding or sashing, or I can create smaller units. So let me show you what I mean, all right? Okay, so let's take some away. We've got this. I just taught a class on how to make rope bowls. This is great fabric to wrap around your rope bowl, so nothing really needs to go to waste. Put that in your scrap bin, make a nice string quilt, you've got this piece. Okay, so I'm going to say I've got a project that requires 2.5-inch squares. I have a 2.5-inch die board. So let me create some 2.5-inch units. Again, we've got the idea where only 6 layers of fabric. So this is 2. Let's do 6. So I'm going to count. So again, I've got the blade right here. I'm going to go back and forth and fan it. So now I've got 4 units. And if I fan one more time, I've got 6. I could then begin to layer this up if I had different strip colors and I wanted to make a whole quilt of 2.5-inch squares, like the Mondo bag I have. I did a lot of cutting with this machine to cut my little strips for my Mondo bag. I have 2 of the same color strips on here, but say that I had a multitude of different strips. Say I've got a leftover jelly roll and I want to create a project with that. I could keep fanning these strips up the board and create a multitude of 2.5-inch squares. A great project that relies on 2.5-inch squares is something like a Mondo bag. So I did use the AccuQuilt cutting system to create all of these little 2.5-inch squares. Then I sewed them together. So that was a lot of fun because it was easy, it wasn't painstakingly hard, and I had a pile of 2.5-inch squares at the ready for my project. Okay, so I'm just going to lay one. Okay, and as I said, I fanned it out. And I found a way, because you're saying I've got a lot of lines on this board, because the board after maybe 200 times gets wear and tear. So there are creative ways to go about using the board to avoid it. I don't know if it's recommended, but this is what I do. Let me see, I think I unlined it by, yeah, I did. I shifted when I moved. Hold on, I'm going to line it back up. That's a great thing about these lines built in the board. Okay. So we don't want to waste our board. So this is what I would do, okay? I roll it forward. I got this cut. I'm going to roll it back. Because every time you make a cut in the board, it also cuts the self-healing mat. And I'm frugal. Okay, here we go. Here's all our cool 2.5-inch squares. Let's see how accurate that was, shall we? So I'm going to take a little unit here and measure my square. It's nice and square. And it's exactly 2.5 inches. No fumbling around with a ruler and it shifting on you. And how quick was that? That was super quick, all right? So that's the second way you can use this board. So when you're expending money on it, you're actually getting quite a bit of projects while you do it. All right, we've got these angles now. I'm gonna put it in the middle. I'm gonna put it at the 45-degree angle. Again, I'm paying attention to where the blades lie. And I'm going to lay it here. And then fan it back and forth on this angle cut. Okay, making sure I clear that line. This one I'm going to do just beyond that one. Okay, don't laugh at me, but I'm going to do the same thing again because I'm going to roll it through the machine. And I love this machine because this is a great way to maximize your use of fabric. As quilters or as sewers, we buy an awful lot of fabric. So it's a shame that we see a lot of it going to waste. This is a great way to create more and more projects from what stash you have. And then feel justified buying more because I'm using as much of my stash as I can. Because you actually cut into a piece of it. Okay, I'm going to rub it again, roll it off. And here are my 45-degree diamond shapes. So I'll just lay them on the board. So you can make a cool Lone Star-like project, I would believe, just by then piecing these all together. AccuQuilt also online has some great project ideas for every board they have. They have a pattern book included, and they also have patterns online recommending the use of combinations of different die boards. Okay, so I got a whole beautiful snowflake-like looking pattern here that I can sew together. Now what you could do is you could lay a couple of these strips. So I could have used the yellow per se and created a strip, and then I could have alternated colors. So there's endless ways of making patterns and designs. Another great thing is that, say that you are predominantly a hand sewer and you need shapes and blocks and hexagonal shapes. AccuQuilt also has a hexagonal die, excuse me, that you can use for English paper piecing. So you could cut the actual units of fabric, and they also have the die that you can actually cut some cardboard that you can put through the machine so that you can begin to do your English paper piecing projects. This die board can take balsa wood, could take wool, could take flannel. It's just how many layers you lay on the dye board. So the thicker the fabric, the less amount of layers you would use. So a medium woven cotton, you can use up to 6. For like a wool or something like that, I would maybe layer only 1 or 2. I would experiment with a mock-up or sample before I did a whole project. Also, a lot of times we've got these dyes with these cute appliques, which again are in their system. And then sometimes you would use like a Wonder under some type of fusible. So that constitutes half a layer. So if you've got pre-ironed on fusible on the back, you could put maybe up to 4 layers with the fusible on the back. So the possibilities are endless. Come to see us at Sew Right. I can show you the machine, I can show you the dyes, and we can help you with your AccuQuilt shopping. Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon. Bye.